It is time to put the garden to bed, guys. All right, it is Live with Live Life Outdoors here in South Central Pennsylvania, roughly zone 6A, 6B. And sorry, I'm short of breath. I was just leaning over, fighting with the tripod as usual. But I have found the tripod. So today, everything's getting ripped out. It's all coming out. It is October 25th. We are way past what should have been our frost date. And typically by the end of November, we do have some stuff that I'll be picking as I pull stuff out. Typically by the end of November, it does snow. And so I want to make sure that I'm ahead of the game, and I don't want to be doing any of this when it is cold and rainy. So I definitely want to take the opportunity while there is a bit of warmth and go ahead and get this done. And especially try to see what I'm going to do to cover these beds. I'm not really sure yet. We're going to talk about it. So what I've done the last 2 years is I have covered the beds with straw, which is great because it keeps the beds from the soil turning hydrophobic, because it keeps moisture in, and it also prevents weed seed. I barely have to weed the garden. It's been such a nice thing. However, it is prime real estate for the bugs. So that's something I've been really struggling with, especially this season. And that in combination with the fact that it rained for, that's not the plant, that's one of the stakes. It rained for nearly a month, like a month straight at the beginning of the season. So that combo with the bugs really didn't help. And that also encourages the pests to hang out, because when it's rainy and wet, the straw doesn't bother the like soft body bugs because it's squishy, right? It's damp, it's not itchy, so it's not doing anything to prevent the bugs when it's been raining for a long time like that. So I am considering taking it off, especially since down at the end I have those Mexican bean beetles, and they, amongst other things, like to just live in the soil. And they'll live in the soil over the winter and then become a problem for the next season. So if you're cleaning up all the dead debris, you take out the chances of them hanging around. So I do have something to think about with that. I may pull it off of everything, or I may just pull it off down at the end where I'm currently having that issue. All right, so as I'm pulling stuff off, I am seeing some peppers that did decide that they were going to join the party, and another green tomato. So I'm just gonna have my little pile of stuff here. And as I'm pulling these things out, I am going to leave the roots behind if I can. So like with this one, the one that I just pulled out, the roots did come out with it. That's okay. Sometimes I'll just drop the roots back in. The reason for that is they are organic matter that will get broken down by earthworms and such, and it puts nutrients back into the soil. So if you have something to just cut with, you could just cut at the bottom here before trying to yank this out and leave that part in, and then that's going to break down and feed back to your soil. So since this came out with it, I'll try to put some root matter back down there. That's okay, but I do want to stake out most of the soil. One, soil is a precious thing. Two, I don't want to make our load extra heavy with soil hanging out at the bottom of the roots there. So this is the day. It is just pulling the stuff out. We'll get it loaded up. Oh, hey, look, there's a pepper. Get it loaded up into the truck. We'll take it to our local dump that I've talked about. It's not a trash dump. It is like green waste. So your yard clippings, branches, you can also drop off like stone that you didn't use or mulch, stuff that might be useful to someone else. So that's definitely worth checking out to see if your neighborhood has an area like that. I don't feel like that's something we really had in Arizona. I could be wrong. Maybe like the places further out might. But that's not something that I was aware of there. But it's pretty handy because, as you can imagine, this stuff would fill up many trash bags. And it did the first time that I did it without having access to the dump. And we have limited trash, like trash weight for pickup, because we don't have those, it's old school. Like there's someone on the back of the truck, they hop off, grab the trash bin and dump it into the back of the truck. So there is a weight limit on your trash for the week. And that means that it's hard to get all this stuff taken care of without having a way to throw it away all at once. So having that dump option is very nice, especially because I don't have like a proper compost set up, and you can't compost everything. You don't want to compost things that have disease. So like these tomato plants that I'm pulling out right now, there's definitely something going on there. I don't want that spreading into the soil for the next season. So you can't compost that. And you also don't want to compost things that are riddled with bugs. So like those Mexican bean beetles, I wouldn't want to compost any of the lima bean foliage, because then they would just live in that soil and be introduced right back into my garden looking for food. So you can't compost everything. Compost is not a one-size-fits-all option. It's great to compost what you can, but you do have to keep that in mind. So this is the easiest method for me. Hopefully one day I'll have a proper compost pile, but we don't right now. So this is my option. And we can't have farm animals here. The acreage is not large enough. So that's another thing in the future I would like to be able to do, because obviously that's a great way to utilize your garden waste, is to be able to feed your animals. More tomatoes. And what I'll probably do here, guys, is I will maybe keep the camera running, turn the mic off, or I might leave like mic running. I don't know, we'll see here. We're playing it by ear, but I will have some of this fast forward for you, of course, so that you can see what the garden looks like when I'm done. And right now my plan of attack is pulling stuff out, putting it in a pile, and then my boyfriend's gonna come out and help me get all this taken out. And if I need his help for anything, he'll come out here and help me. But he's not of the beyond video quite yet aspect, which is totally fine with me. Totally get that. Sometimes I don't want to be on video, if I'm being honest. Which is, I mean, like being realistic with you guys. That's why I do a lot of the videos where I'm just showing you the garden and I'm not in front of the camera. I prefer to show and tell rather than me being in front of the camera. So that is why I do the style that I do. So I'd like to know from you guys, what do you prefer? Do you like that style where it's basically show and tell? You see the garden in front of the camera and I'm showing you things and telling you. Do you prefer to see me talking to you more in front of the camera, like a mix. Because obviously I'm still going to show you the garden. That's what I'm trying to teach you. But do you prefer a mix of me being in the videos, talking to you? I'd love to know. I know everyone likes different styles of things. You're probably like, I wish you weren't breathing so heavy on this audio here. I can't do much about that. And my asthma, buzzy thing has definitely been a problem for me. And like I said, it's something I've been trying to work on with providers, but just haven't gotten anywhere so far. But yeah, working on it. Now remember that I did go ahead and I picked all the, I picked the majority of the tomatoes. I picked the majority of the peppers so that, that wouldn't happen. I just stuck my finger, gross, right in one of those. So that wouldn't happen. And two, we wouldn't have to spend time picking stuff off the plants. And I may choose to just put whole plants up here that have stuff on them, because it really is just the goal to get this stuff out of here. I've been slacking on gardening, so sometimes your goal just has to change to what needs to get done. Okay, so we've got some decent sized ones here. So I will pick a few things as I go through. I'm just not going to spend a whole lot of effort on it. So we've got some more little ones here. These are those woolly Kates. They're the fuzzy tomatoes. I do really enjoy those. They are quite good. Also, just a reminder for those are the ones that I told you guys are great for if you're a container grower, because I am a terrible container grower. Totally neglected my containers last year when I did them, and those tomatoes absolutely thrived. I hardly watered them and they did fabulous. So those are definitely a great container tomato. Those were the woolly Kate. I got those through Baker's Creek. I know that Baker's Creek can be expensive, but I would also recommend checking out Seed Colt. And I hope you guys can hear me over that saw over there. But Seed Colt, she's on Etsy. She also has her own website. I prefer to shop on her Etsy because her website doesn't feel as organized to me. So it's just easier to go through her stuff on Etsy. However, she does have stuff that Baker's Creek would have. So I can't say for sure that she'll have the woolly Kate, but it's quite possible. I've gotten a lot of stuff from her that I would normally find on Baker's Creek. And she's growing those and saving the seeds herself on her own property, which I think is pretty cool. And it often means that they're just a bit cheaper. And even if one seed packet is only 50 cents cheaper or $1 cheaper, if they're all that much cheaper, then you are saving a decent amount of money. So that's how I try to look at that. But as you can see, this process takes a while. This is a few hour long process, and then us going ahead and getting that pile of stuff that will just continue to grow as I do this inside, and taking this stuff to the dump. I may even run out of video space on my phone doing this, but we'll see. I'll make sure that I move this video to the cloud and come back, and I'll add an edit with the end result. All right, so I'm not too keen on keeping the tomatoes that are on this plant because they're not mature in size. And if you've been with me, you know that I've said before, if they are not close enough to a mature size, they either will not turn at all or they're gonna taste funny. So this one is better. We'll go ahead and keep that one. But yeah, the ones that have not quite reached that mature size, they don't do so well. Okay, so this one looks like it's a decent size. However, it did have the cat facing or fasciated blossom, so the blossoms fused together. It looks like that probably has bug damage in it, so we're gonna just toss that in that pile. That tomato just smushed on my boot. All right, nature's paper towels. Pepper leaves. All right, we'll find some leaves here to pick that up with too. These gloves that I have on, they're not like junk proof. They are porous. I don't know if that's the word right now, but that's what we're gonna go with. They're porous. These purple tomatoes that I'm pulling, these are the Sarts. They end up being yellow on the bottom. Oh, let's see, that one's not good. Those are my favorites. The plants are not very prolific, so I do usually do about 4 of them. 2 would probably be decent if you've got other stuff that you like. Yeah, a lot of these have damage on them, but they're very tasty and they do very well for, like, I would call them split resistant or crack resistant. They do very well between fluctuations in watering. So that's me watering, that's nature watering, or me not watering, whichever that may be. All right, so we've got a pretty big pile there, and these tomatoes on this side, they're all the little tiny ones, and I don't want to be dropping them all over the place. So I'm just going to pull them around. I think you just saw one fling at me. Pull them around over here, start a new pile. And then once we have all the greenery out and we take that up to the dump, I come back through. We both come back through actually, because it was quite a lot last time. And we pick up all the tomatoes that are bad and we just put those in the trash. So all of this stuff, except for this is the amaranth. I planted that on purpose. That's my trap crop. But all of these tiny tomatoes, these were volunteers. So I'm gonna be way more on top of cleaning out volunteers next season as they come through, because this is a hot mess. It's great if you ran out of seeds, misplaced your seeds, couldn't purchase seeds, whatever reason, and then you could just let it go if you didn't plant anything at all. But otherwise, it can be quite the mess if you already have a bunch of things growing. This is where all of the seeds are in the amaranth. I want to save that and I don't want to disturb it that much, so I'm going to prop it up over here for now. And then that way I can go ahead and pull out this tomato plant here, because it was pulling on everything. See, that's how wild this stuff is. So if you just let tomatoes go by itself without trellising, that's what happens. They set roots along their stems wherever they're touching the soil. You can actually have that happen too above the soil, and it can scare new gardeners because they think that it looks like bugs or larvae or something. If I see it as I do this, I'll pull it out and show you. But yeah, look at all All that mess. Volunteer. But that just goes to show you, like, plants want to grow, and it's not that hard to have food. It really isn't. I didn't do anything to grow these tomatoes other than plant them a previous year. They started on their own. My garden has been neglected this season. Like 100% honesty, it's been neglected. I haven't watered as much, haven't been out here to harvest like I should, haven't checked on things, and I still have an abundance of food. Okay guys, I'm gonna have to bring the camera over here when I get a little bit more into this to show you just how thick this amaranth plant is. You may be wondering, am I worried about throwing any of the amaranth seeds around? No, I'm not. They're easy when they're small to pluck them out. And like I said, they're a good trap crop. So if they want to volunteer next season, awesome. All right, let me go grab you guys here. So down here, look at that. This thing is the size of a tree. That's wild. Let me pull this out. Oh, we've got more tomato plant in the way. I'm dropping them all over. They're popping off. All right, hold on. Let me toss these back in the bed. This just keeps going, guys. I grabbed it too soon. All right, here we go. But yeah, look, that is insane. It is super strong. So that's your trap crop for you. Amaranth leaves are edible. I don't know about the rest of the plant. I don't know if it's one of the ones where you can like do something with the stalks. But yeah, that's the amaranth. It's hefty. And that's why these plants are awesome too, because it takes a lot to knock out an amaranth even as a seedling. And then once it gets established, it's there to stay until you take it out. All right, guys, so I am not a lot of the way through yet. So let me turn this around. All right, so what I'm gonna do, because I really need to get this done, is I'm gonna go ahead, start working on this. I think I'm gonna stop the camera for now. You're seeing me just pull out all the same kind of thing. This is what I'm doing the whole time, just pulling stuff out. And then I'm gonna come back and we'll see what it looks like when it's done, because I'm also gonna run out of camera space. So I'll see you guys when stuff's pulled out. All right, guys, we are still on the same day, but now it is cloudy and it is cold. So I did go ahead, I got the stuff over on this side pulled. This actually does have Brussels sprouts on it. They're little babies in there. I don't know if it'll have time or last through a frost, but I'm gonna leave it and see. I'm gonna leave the roselle up until the last possible moment, because it does have the calyxes that are about ready. So once these bloom with the flower and the flower falls out, that's when the calyxes, this part right here, is ready to harvest. So I'm gonna go ahead, leave that there. Flowers can get taken care of at another time. That part's fine. And then let's see the drastic change over here. All right, that looks a lot different. The things have all been pulled out. We already took a load up to the dump. We have another one, so the pile you just saw over there, this pile, and this pile here. Otherwise, what you see is staying. That's gonna stay, that's salvia. I can rip this pepper plant out here real quick. the bees were buzzing about earlier and I didn't want to bother them. Salvia is going to stay. Nasturtiums are going to stay. The salvia, I expect that it may overwinter. If not, it'll at least reseed itself. The nasturtiums will get taken out by the frost, but for now they are protecting the soil. And then the very last thing down here are the lima beans. So I didn't take the lima beans out yet because I do actually want to finish collecting the pods and take the seeds out. And I also figured, since I know for sure that this particular plant has the Mexican bean beetles in it, I might as well just make sure that everything gets tied up into a bag and disposed of. That way we're also not just transferring the Mexican bean beetles to a different location. So that's what we're going to do with that. Get those picked off, and that part will go into trash bags. But yeah, we do have one more load, and then after that it's just cleanup of the random tomatoes that are left over. There's quite a few that were back there. Some are hiding under here because this was in the walkway and I just kind of flipped it up over out of the way. And then after that I get to decide if I'm putting the straw back on top or if I'm pulling it off. I still don't know. I am undecided at this point, but I don't have a whole lot of time to figure it out. So I will make a decision on that. And yeah, that's what the garden cleanup looks like. This might be sad for many of you. It usually is for me, but honestly this season I am pretty relieved to have this done because I just hadn't been giving my all to it and hadn't had the time with other things going on. So I really looked forward to this reset so that I can do it differently next season. And I have to show you guys. Look at the colors back there. But yeah, it's cloudy and it's cold now. So we're going to get that next load done, get this wrapped up, and then over the week or so I'll get the other stuff cleaned up. We do have some bit of harvest here that I'm going to take inside, so that was cool to have some extras. And then I'll pop something up at the top for you guys to watch next. Also in the description there is a freebie. If you sign up for my newsletter, don't forget to grab that. You get weekly newsletters from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for hanging out.